Hi everyone, hope you're doing well. Welcome to my new home. If you are a returning viewer, you will notice this is not my same spot. I guess I do move around a lot normally in my videos, but this is a new little corner with a new tree and new windows. I'm in my new house, same city, same neighborhood, just a new house. And if you're a returning viewer, this doesn't mean anything to you, so welcome back. It's really nice to have you. Today I just wanted to do like a little knit and chat video. So I've got a forever project going in here. This is my magnolia top from Rowan Yarns, and I'm gonna knit on that while I talk to you about fall, because I don't know about you, but we're getting into like late August now and I'm tired of being warm. I'm tired of the heat. It's been a warm summer here in Seattle. I mean, it's not over like 100 degrees or 40 degrees like a lot of places have had, but it's just been warm. And most places in Seattle don't have air conditioning, so it's just a little bit uncomfortable. And as a knitter, I'm just ready to wear my cozies again. When we were moving, I obviously packed and then unpacked. So I've unpacked my sweaters and put them in my new closet, and like they're just all there waiting for me, and I can't wait to wear them and to be cozy again. It's my favorite thing. So I'm very excited for fall and for fall knitting. So I'm going to talk you through 15 free knitting patterns for fall. These are patterns that I just think are really lovely. They're super accessible price-wise because they're free. And yeah, so I have a couple of sweater and slip-over patterns, some sock patterns, and some accessories, just a little bit of a variety of size and involvedness here in the patterns I want to talk to you about today. But yeah, so I'm gonna knit on my little project here. This is a summer project that's not going to be finished for this summer. This will be a summer project for next, that I maybe can wear next summer if I continue to slog away at it for the foreseeable future. But I'm gonna knit on my summer project while I start talking to you about fall. So we'll start off with sweater patterns. I'm just gonna walk you through what I have here open on my computer, and I'll talk you through the patterns, what I like about them, what I think is interesting, all of that. So the first pattern that I like is the roundabout sweater by Freya. This is a relatively new pattern, I believe. It's from I think it's a collaboration with a yarn brand, but it's a really, really beautiful sweater that has a kind of like a deeper yoke and this really pretty cabling on the yoke. For me, fall is all about like cables and color work and like neutral colors, but like lots of fun textures in garments. And then for accessories, it's about like cables and stripes and just like more rich colors, autumn tones, obviously warm toned things. So that's kind of what I was thinking when I put this list together. So yes, the first one is the roundabout sweater by Freya. It's knit with bulky weight yarn. It has a 10.25 stitch gauge on, and you work it up on 8mm and 7mm needles. It's also kind of an oversized look, it seems. So it's got this lovely cabling on the yoke and then just a pretty simple body and sleeves, which are also a little bit oversized. It just looks like super squishy and cozy. It's made in this yarn that's like very fluffy and fuzzy, and it just looks like super, super cozy. So I think this would be a fun sweater to knit for fall because it's on bigger needles and with chunkier yarn. I think it would also knit up pretty quickly. It might be a good like beginner cable project if you've never done cables before. So it seems like a really fun and lovely sweater, and it is free. All right, the next sweater design I want to talk to you about, maybe I'll do like one sweater, one accessory until I run out of sweaters. So I want to talk to you then about a sock pattern, and I've had my eye on this for a while and just haven't had a chance to cast it on yet. These are some DK weight socks. They're called the Laid Edges socks by Kellie macpherson, and they are a really beautiful, just pretty simple sock, but they have this beautiful like, it's more like a braid than a cable. I guess it is a cable that runs down one side, the outer side of the foot, I think, or maybe it's both sides. It's really, really beautiful. Just this kind of like, it looks like a fishtail braid. I think it's gorgeous. It's knit up, it's a DK weight sock, so it probably knits up a little bit more quickly. You knit this on 3mm needles instead of like a 2.5 or a 2.25 that you normally would for socks. I just really have been wanting to cast these on for a while and I haven't had a chance, but maybe I have some DK weight sock yarn, or I have lots of DK weight yarn generally, so I would think it would be fun to cast a pair of these on for fall. They have been in my queue for a very long time, and I'm really excited to work them up. So yes, I'm very excited about those. I think they're really beautiful. The Laid Edges Socks by Kellie McPherson. Okay, back to the next sweater that I have. This is a free pattern from Drops. If you didn't know, Drops has a lot of free patterns on their website. They can sometimes be a little difficult to follow because they're written in a very traditional Scandinavian way that's like just very simple, straightforward instructions, not a lot of hand holding. They do rely pretty heavily on charts, so bear that in mind. But I've knit quite a few patterns from Drops and haven't really had a ton of difficulty with any of them. One of the more complicated, when I was just getting into garment knitting, one of the more complicated things I had knit was like a little baby jumpsuit from Drops, and it was fine. So this is called the Deep Woods sweater, which is a pretty simple sweater when you first look at it, but it has this beautiful cable detailing down the sleeves. It's like a braided cable. Sorry if you can hear the airplane. I live near a seaplane airport. Yeah, so it has this beautiful, it's just like a simple body, and then it has this beautiful cable detailing down the sleeves. I think it has a saddle shoulder construction to accommodate that cable. And this is knit at a pretty loose gauge. It's a 17 stitch gauge. The pattern is written with Drops alpaca and Drops kid silk held together. So it's going to be super fluffy and warm, and it's in this, the sample in the photos is in this like gorgeous rich foresty green color that I think is really beautiful. So yeah, I've been meaning to make this sweater for a while. I think it's really beautiful and I'd love to make it. It's got just such pretty detailing and pretty good size range. It goes from a small to a 3X, so there's a variety in there. And it doesn't use, it's not like super heavy because it uses such two lace weight yarns held together. Yeah, so I think this is a gorgeous sweater pattern, and I've been wanting to make it for a long time, so maybe this fall I will get around to casting it on. But if you haven't heard of it, check it out. An accessory pattern that I've had my eye on for a while is the Tied Knots hat by Justyna Lorokwska. It's a really beautiful cabled hat. It's knit in DK weight yarn on 4mm needles predominantly. And it's got this like beautiful twisted like traveling cables all down the hat. I don't know if it's knit bottom up or top down, but it's really, really pretty and looks a lot more intricate than it probably is to knit up. I don't know. I mean, it's cables, so take at your own risk, but it looks really beautiful. There's a couple different sample colors. I really like the red version that she has knit up. I think it's gorgeous. And you just need one skein of DK weight yarn, so it would probably be a pretty fun and quick project. A good like autumn knits palette cleanser, or like preparing yourself for autumn knits kind of project. I don't know, I think it's really beautiful, and I definitely want to cast this one on as well. I love the red yarn that this sample is in. It's so pretty with the variegation and the cables together. Something about variegation and cables really gets me. So that is the Tied Knots hat. The next sweater that I picked out for this is a free pattern that comes from Filcolana. It's the Anneli cardigan by Sanna Bjerregaard. And I think this was actually from their spring collection, but the colors in the sample really make me think of fall. They're like these rich yellows and mustard colors. It reminds me a lot actually with the details of the Felix pullover. It has like a lovely lace detail on the raglan, and then some nice elegant puffy sleeves. It's a DK weight pattern, and it comes in sizes extra small to 2XL. I just think it's really pretty, and it would be a nice layering piece for fall. I think the colors are just gorgeous, and yeah, I like the dramatic sleeves. I think they're really pretty. There's some great projects that people have made of this. The sample has the contrast button band and ribbing, and some people have done that and other people have just done it all in one color. I think they're both really pretty, but I actually do kind of like the contrast button band and ribbing. I think it's really pretty, and it makes it, I think, a little bit more fall. Something about I think just when I'm thinking generally about knitwear styles for different seasons, I think of spring as like very simple design elements, but lots of color and like the fuzz from the mohair and just like pastels or pinks or just like beautiful kind of flower colors, I guess I would say. And then for fall, I think you welcome in more of that like coziness and the cables and I think lace is more of a spring thing. Cables are more of a fall thing. There's just, I don't know. Does anyone else think of knitwear this way? But I just think like spring is for like lace and stockinette, and fall is for like heavy cabling and color work and all sorts of stuff. So there's something about this and like the contrasting colors and the warmth and like drama of the sleeves that I think is really pretty. It would be great for fall. So that is that pattern. The next sock pattern that I pulled I think is super cool. Like I said, I just really love color work in fall. I think it's just like there's something so cozy about it, and you have to just like wrapping yourself up in a blanket and working diligently on some color work and like reading your charts. I don't know if I'm just being silly, but color work really makes me think of fall. So the pattern that I pulled, I pulled this color work sock pattern that's pretty involved, but actually looks really, really pretty. It's the Esther socks by Helena Joronen, who also goes by Gru's Knits, and these are a really pretty cabled sock. I feel like you could do it in a bunch of different colors or just do it in a few colors to simplify it. It's got it calls for 6 colors total, which is a lot for a pair of socks, but it would be a great like, stash busting project. And there are just infinite colors that you could pair based on what you have lying around. I don't know, they're so pretty and so fun. And even if the thing about color work socks is I'm not sure that they're super functional to wear because you get that double layer of fabric, but they're just so beautiful that it's like they would maybe make a good gift. I don't know, they're so pretty. These are fingering weight socks, and I just think the motifs are gorgeous, and they would probably honestly be really fun to knit because you basically do each color work repeat just once. So you do it like the whole band once around the sock, and then you're moving on to something new. So I bet they'd be like really Moorish, and you would want to finish them really fast. So I really do want to do some like intricate color work sock work in the fall. Oh yeah, there's a sample picture on here that's just 2 colors. So that's the thing I love about color work is you can kind of take and adapt it however you want. So pretty, super fun. I'm gonna do another accessory pattern. I think this is something that I've actually made before. If you've watched my videos previously, I finished this project back in December, but I think I cast it on in late fall. This is the Sunday morning shawl by Espace Tricot, which is a very simple shawl, but it's really nice to knit. It's just got like simple bands of twisted rib and baubles that kind of, it's just like bands of stockinette and twisted rib throughout most of the shawl, and at the bottom you do like a big long row of baubles and then a larger band of twisted rib. And I just think it's like so simple but so effective, the design, and I think this probably lends itself well. The yarn that I use to knit by my version is, it's not super rustic, but it's definitely not super wash. It has a little bit of a texture to it, and I just think that this shawl would show off a beautiful rustic yarn super well. I think it's gorgeous, and I really had fun knitting it. It's a big shawl. I wouldn't say it's like schlanket territory, but it's a pretty good sized shawl. And so, but the bands are really nice because you like work one band, and then there's work band of stockinette, and then you have your twisted rib band, so like you can kind of pace yourself a little bit, which is nice. I love this project. I keep it at work at my desk for when it gets cold and just wrap myself up in it, and it's so nice. So that is the Sunday morning shawl by Espace Tricot. It's lovely, and I would definitely recommend it. I think it's perfect for like a more simple fall vibe, or even blending itself a little more to winter, but it's really lovely. The next larger garment that I found that I really like is called Poetry Reading. It's a vest from Drops, and I think this is gorgeous. It's a pretty heavily cabled button-up vest, which just gives me that like academia kind of look that I know is really trendy and just screams fall to me, like that, like going back to school, studying in the library in the cold, like just this very beautiful classic cabled vest. It comes in from sizes small to 3XL. So that is a 98 centimeter bust to 146 centimeter bust. It's got a good generous size range. It's a DK weight. The pattern is knit up in Drops Lima, which is a pretty affordable yarn and a good option. I think the wool and alpaca blend would be really nice for this. And it just seems like so lovely to knit all these cables and the buttons. It's like super involved but really pretty, and there's probably a bunch of nice ways you could style it. I really like to use vests in the spring and fall to kind of seasonally adapt my dresses, because I do have a lot of dresses that I wear in the summertime, and just putting a vest over them helps to make it a little bit more like transitional. So I think this would be a really fun one to knit up. Another accessory that I pulled is the pinstriped fingerless mitts, and I must say by Jenjoyce design. And I must say I was not a big fingerless mitts person for a really long time. I thought they were kind of ridiculous, to be honest. They were a little silly, and like, you might as well just knit yourself a full mitten or not wear anything at all. But then I started biking a lot more in the wintertime or the colder months. And in Seattle, like, come September, it's rainy and chilly a lot. And when I was riding my bike a lot in fall and winter, my hands were getting really cold. And it's not even that, like, it was really just when I was like going downhill or at the beginning of my ride in the morning that my hands were pretty cold. So I thought a fingerless mitt would be nice because I can still like use my hands to use the brakes and everything, but keep like my hands predominantly warm. And I think this version is especially really pretty. There's just something very cool about like super, super thin stripes. And these are just like one round stripes that I think are gorgeous. And would probably be great for like a biker, or if you're like a runner and you need, in the fall, you need something cold, or like gardening. There's a lot of good, I understand now that there are a lot of uses for a fingerless mitt. So these are also a DK weight, and there's a bunch of recommended yarns of all different price points, but I just think they're really pretty. And it's probably also the what am I thinking of? The sample picture that drew me in, because it's just like perfect fall colors, that really punchy orange compared with that like lighter pink. It's just like very autumnal to me. I think it's really gorgeous. So yes, the pinstriped fingerless mitts by Jenjoyce design. Another sweater that I pulled that I think is lovely is the Bramble jumper by Alexandra Tavel, who is Two of Wands. She has a bunch of lovely free patterns. I knit her ballerina wrap top earlier this year, but I've really liked this Bramble jumper for a long time. It comes in only 3 sizes. It is quite oversized, but it comes in like an extra small, a medium large, and then an extra large 2XL. I know Alexandra's trying to make her patterns more size inclusive, so I appreciate that. But I just think the texture on this sweater is really pretty. It's like, it's not really a waffle stitch. I think bramble is honestly a really good way to describe it, because it's like all over texture it's not quite baubles, it's not quite waffle, I don't know. It's really interesting. The only thing about this is that it's knit flat, so if you are a newer knitter, that could be great for you if you're not quite comfortable knitting in the round yet, but if you're a more experienced knitter, I'm sure you could find a way to adapt this to be knit in the round. It's just got the most gorgeous texture. It almost looks like crochet, but it's knitted. So this is another one I've had on my radar for quite some time, and I think it would be a lovely fall. Again, it's that like heavy texture that I think is super lovely for fall. Another pattern I pulled is the September hat, which I may actually be casting on here pretty soon. I'm trying to decide if this is the pattern I want to do. I bought some worsted weight yarn that's made by Rosario, which is the same yarn company that makes Mondine, the sock yarn that's pretty popular. I bought another one of their yarns at a local yarn store here in Washington a couple months ago with the intention of making a fall hat with it. So I really like this hat. This is the September hat by Caroline Dick. It's designed for Kelborn Woolens, and it kind of has a similar braided look to the laid edges socks, but it's like a braided ribbed hat. It's really interesting. I like the texture a lot. I think it's really pretty. And I also really like the color. That like deep raspberry color is really pretty to me. But yes, this is the September hat by Caroline Dick. I don't know if I would do the pom-pom on top. I'm not a big pom-pom person, but it is a gorgeous color and it's really cute. And there are lots of examples on the pattern page of ones that don't have the pom-pom on top. So you can do either one. But yeah, I think I want to cast this on here in the next couple months because the stitch pattern just looks so interesting to me. All right, the last sweater I pulled is another free pattern from Folklana. It's the Sundby by Janne this is Danish, højfeldt. I don't know if that was good, but I'm trying my best. It's a sport weight sweater, so it's a little bit lighter, probably take a little bit longer time, but it's like, it looks almost like a gansey, and like it's got like textured stripes, but all in one color. So instead of being like one color, another color, one color, like A B color stripes, it's like a band of texture, a band of stockinette, a band of texture, a band of stockinette. It's got a really nice wide neckline, and it has a really pretty detail with the little button on the neckline, like you see often on like children's sweaters, or the like more, I think a lot of 80s sweaters had them with the wide neckline and the button. I think it's just a really pretty and interesting detail. And I just love the texture. It's so kind of similar to the bramble sweater with that textured, like that like really drastic or dramatic texture, I think is really nice. And I just love the way that the model has it styled in the sweater shoot. I think it's very autumnal, really pretty, and I think this would be a fun sweater to knit. I just think it's so interesting. There aren't a ton of projects on Ravelry for this, but I think it's gorgeous, and I would definitely be interested in casting it on. So that is the Sundby from Phil Galana. And then the last couple of things I have to show you, these ones I'm really into. This is the Chevron Chase socks by Andrea Yetman. And they're just like so cool. The colors are super 70s, that like warm mustardy yellow fall color with the blue in the sample is gorgeous. It's like a good mix of, I think, chevron. It just, I don't know, they look very 70s to me, and 70s is often synonymous to me with those like warmer kind of fall colors. They're so cool. And these are designed for self-striping yarn, but I bet you could do it with like just changing with like scraps or mini skeins or something if you wanted to switch colors around. I think that's so cool. And even if you did them in a solid color, I bet they'd be really cool with the chevrons and like the little bit of lace. They're so cool and so pretty and so fun. So I think I want to try these out as well. I've got one more shawl for you. This is the Simple Shawl by Jane Hunter. I think it's so pretty. I don't know, it's the sample pictures that always get me, but I love the like garter squish combined with the little eyelets at the bottom and the picot edging. I just think it's so dainty, and that like grayish moody blue that the sample picture is in, I think it's just so gorgeous. And I can just imagine, like, I don't know, when I look at this, I think of like a woman wrapped up in this, like staring on the cliffs in the England looking over the ocean, which I don't know, it just gives me that kind of vibe. There's some beautiful pictures on here of it like striped or doing a band at the bottom in a different color. There are so many ways to take this shawl and make it your own. I think it would be a great first time shawl because it's pretty simple with the garter, but there are some little eyelets. It's knit in fingering weight yarn. It's so pretty. It's designed to just use one skein, but I guess if you wanted to make it bigger, you could just keep going. I think it's gorgeous. I really do. And I have a single skein of sock yarn in this, like, it's called Poppy. It's hand dyed. I bought it. It's discontinued now, but I bought it in California, and it's got this like orangey reddy tones. I bet it would look really pretty in this shawl and just be like with the colors kind of flowing in and out. I don't know. It's gorgeous, and I bet it would actually probably look really good. Is this Simple Shawl by Jane Hunter. The last pattern that I pulled for you is called the Snuggle Neck by Anette solbraa-bay. And this makes me I feel like last fall and winter we were seeing a lot of the like dicky collars where it's like a turtleneck that just covers like a bib kind of thing that just keeps you warm. So if you have a coat on or something, it keeps you really nice and warm and toasty. And this was actually in my queue for a long time last fall, and I never got around to knitting it, but maybe I will do it this fall. I love the twisted ribbing and the like slants on the front. I think are super pretty. They make like a very interesting kind of graphic effect. It just looks so cozy and super cute. It's knit in air and weight yarn, so it's probably knits up super quick and chunky on 4.5mm needles. And it's like it's basically just the yoke of a sweater, and that's it. No sleeves, no nothing. So I'm sure it would be really fun and fast to knit up. It just looks so cozy. I think like for a nice long fall walk, having one of these on under a warm coat, sounds so nice. It's less to wrangle than like a scarf that you have to keep wrapped around. It just keeps you nice. The name is great, Snuggle Neck, because it just like is a nice snuggle on your neck. It's wonderful. So that is my last pattern that I pulled to recommend to you of my 15 free patterns for fall. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. There are so many great free patterns on Ravelry, and I have spent a lot of time in my life looking at patterns on Ravelry and saving them to my favorites. I have like thousands of favorites, and they're all organized in bundles and everything. So if you ever want to see more of these videos, whether it's free patterns or not, if you have like a theme that you would like to see a kind of roundup video for, let me know, because I would love to make that for you. It'd be super fun. If you discovered any new patterns in this video, let me know in a comment down below, or if there's anything that you saw that you really want to cast on, let me know. I would love to hear what you guys are planning to knit for fall. I have quite a deep queue and yarn just waiting for me to get going, so you'll hear more about that in my next video when I talk about my plans for September. But so far I am ready for summer to be over and so excited to start knitting for fall. So thank you again so much for watching. It's really lovely to have you. Please subscribe if you haven't already. I would love to see you again, and with that I will say goodbye and hope to see you in my next video.